In a city by the coast, there was an art school known for producing talented painters. Every year, hundreds of students enroll, hoping to become great artists. Among them were two young women who arrived on the same day. The first was named Maya. From the moment she picked up a brush, her paintings were beautiful, almost effortless. The colors blended perfectly. The proportions felt right. Teachers gathered around her easel. A true prodigy, they said. Maya smiled at the praise, but it always came with a cold knot in her stomach. The praise wasn't for her effort. It was for her gift, and a gift she secretly feared could be lost. The second student was named Lynn. When Lynn first started painting, her work was ordinary. The colors didn't quite blend right. The proportions were off. Her brushstrokes were hesitant and uncertain. She often left the studio late, her hands stained with muddy colors, feeling a familiar sting of frustration. But every morning she returned. She would spend the first 10 minutes studying her failures from the day before, not with anger, but with a quiet curiosity. Okay, she'd murmured to herself, so that doesn't work. What if I try this? In their first year, Maya's paintings were displayed in the school gallery. Everyone came to see them. Students whispered in awe. Professors nodded with satisfaction. Maya stood in front of her work, accepting congratulations, but inside she felt hollow. What if the next one isn't as good? What if they realize I just got lucky? Meanwhile, Lynn's work hung in the back of the studio, where no one really looked. But she didn't seem to mind. She was too busy filling her sketchbook with practice studies, trying to understand why shadows fell the way they did. By the second year, something began to shift. Maya would stand in front of blank canvases for hours. Her hand would hover over the surface, brush loaded with paint, but she couldn't make the first mark. What if it's wrong? What if it's not as good as my last one? The canvas stayed white. The fear grew louder. She started noticing other talented students. When their work was praised, something dark twisted in her chest. She stopped experimenting with new techniques. What if she failed? She stopped asking teachers for feedback. What if they saw her weaknesses? The gift she'd been praised for had become a cage. Lynn, meanwhile, made mistakes constantly, terrible ones, paintings that didn't work at all. But she had learned something Maya hadn't. Mistakes were just information. When a painting failed, Lynn would tilt her head, frown slightly, then pull out her sketchbook. The light's wrong. The composition is fighting itself. Okay, try again. She asked teachers endless questions. She watched other students and borrowed their techniques. She filled canvas after canvas, not worried about whether each one was good, just focused on what she could learn from it. One day, their teacher announced a major competition. The winner would have their work displayed in a prestigious city gallery and receive a scholarship. This was the opportunity every student dreamed of. Maya knew she had to enter. Everyone expected her to win, but when she tried to begin, the fear became unbearable. She started painting, stopped, started again. The canvas wasn't speaking to her, or maybe she couldn't hear it over the screaming voice in her head. It has to be perfect. Everyone is watching. You can't fail. She destroyed 7 canvases before finally submitting something safe, something careful, something that looked like her old work but felt empty inside. Lynn also entered. She didn't expect to win, but she saw the competition as a challenge. She chose to paint something difficult, a complex landscape with tricky lighting that would push every skill she'd developed. For 3 weeks, she worked. Some days the painting came together beautifully. Other days, it all fell apart. On the worst day, she stood back and realized the entire composition was wrong. She'd have to start major sections over. She sat down heavily and stared at it for a long time. Then she picked up her brush. When the results were announced, Lynn won first place. The judges praised her work for its courage and depth. "You can see the artist learning as she painted," one said. "There's struggle in this piece. And breakthrough. It's alive." Maya stood at the back of the room, numb. How could this happen? She was the talented one, the one everyone had believed in, and she had lost to someone who wasn't even supposed to be good. That evening, Maya found herself walking through the empty studio. Lynn was there, cleaning brushes at the sink, humming softly. For a long time, Maya just watched her. Finally, she spoke. "How did you do it?" Lynn looked up, surprised. "Do what?" "Win. Everyone said I was better, but I couldn't even finish a painting I was proud of. I was so afraid." Lynn paused, brush dripping water. "Afraid of what?" "Of it not being perfect," the words burst out. "Of proving them right. Proving who is right. Everyone who said I was talented." Maya's voice cracked. "What if I'm not? What if I was just a fraud?" Lynn set down the brush and looked at her for a long moment. "I never had that problem," she said quietly. "Everyone knew I wasn't talented." She smiled, but it was gentle, not unkind. "When I made a mistake, I just thought, well, there's another thing I'm bad at. Time to practice." She dried her hands. "You saw a mistake as a verdict." "I saw it as a starting line." Maya felt tears in her eyes. The words settled into her like stones dropping into still water. "A starting line," she whispered. "My talent wasn't a gift. It was a prison." "It doesn't have to be," Lynn said. "You can still paint. You can still grow. You just have to stop trying to prove you're good and start trying to get better." From that day forward, Maya changed. It wasn't easy. The fear didn't disappear overnight, but she began painting again, not to prove anything, but to learn. She made terrible paintings. She struggled. She asked for help. And slowly, something shifted. Her paintings began to come alive again, not because she was talented, but because she was finally willing to grow. Years later, someone asked both of them the same question. "What's the secret to becoming a great artist?" Lynn answered first. "There is no secret. Just show up every day and be willing to be bad at something until you get better." Maya nodded. "Your starting point doesn't matter, whether you begin with talent or without it. What matters is whether you're brave enough to struggle, fail, and keep going anyway." If this story resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe to Unhurried Voice for more stories that inspire growth and help you learn English naturally. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next story.